Okay, this is Genesis 1:1 Fine Arts Ministry. You're at the Artist Talk here for Joseph and Emily. Just real quick, Genesis 1:1 is a fine arts ministry composed of Julia here, who is the founder and the visionary for all of this. And in short, our vision here with the ministry is to raise up Christian artists to be able to seek the Lord and use that Holy Spirit as a way to proclaim His word through their art. And one way we do that is through these artist talks. We do workshops based on the days of creation. The initial vision that she had was to go through and paint all the different days of creation and hear from the Lord and how that would look and what would it be like to kind of capture like day one when the world was formless and void. And so it gives you an infinite forms of art that you can do if you just go through all the different days of creation that we read about in Genesis 1:1. And another thing that we're able to do through the ministry is create art galleries like this one. And we've been able to create art galleries with other schools and churches, and we've been able to go around the world and help institute these workshops that are based on the days of creation, where the students are able to, I guess they're not really students, they're artists, but we take the artists and we encourage them on how to sit down and prayerfully listen to the Lord and hear from Him, and then take that vision that you get from the Lord and put it on campus. And so once that occurs, then we like to take it to another level, where we're kind of like where we're at tonight, where we will be able to hear from the artist and hear what it was like for them to be creative through the one who created them and thus created the piece of art. Tonight we have Joseph and Emily, as I had mentioned. I'm not going to speak a whole lot about who they are, everything, because they want to be able to share that with you guys tonight. That's one of the things that they had talked about, is being able to share with you on that level, real personal. This is a very intimate time that we get to have with them. So there may be a lot of questions that's going to come up, and if you could hold that till the end, we're going to have a time set aside at the end of them speaking and sharing with us, where we'll be able to answer all your questions. You can question and answer directly with them. So I think with that, we could probably bring them up.
Absolutely. I just came up to say hi. I'll be back later.
Yeah. Oh yeah. She will be back later. She likes me emceeing on the mic because I don't know. She just likes being on the mic instead of her. That's kind of the partnership we made. She goes, okay, I will.
like to hear it from his end.
Yeah. She goes, okay, I have these ideas. We can do all this stuff. And then Bill goes and does it all. And so then when it comes to the microphone, she goes, okay, yeah, you can turn it on and plug it in, and then you can talk through it. Okay, great.
All right, so welcome, Justice and Emily.
Hi guys. Hi. So thank you all for coming out tonight. This is so exciting. I didn't really know what to expect from an artist talk. I haven't been to a lot of artist talks, and I've never given an artist talk. So I feel like this is a perfect setting to just kind of do something we've never done before and get a little bit more comfortable speaking to a room full of people about our work and about just like who we are and some of what God is doing in our lives through our art. So I'm just these are our good friends. Hi guys. Hi. Sorry. So here we are. I know a lot of you, but there's some that I don't know very well, or I haven't met you. So My name is Emily Almendariz, and this is my husband Joseph. And so we've been married for about 8 years, and we met in Kansas City. I've been here for 15 years. We met here 9 years ago, and then we got married a year after we met. We were both new baby Christians when we first met, and that's another story. But we were both of us were basically homeless when we met, and I had a job. He didn't really. He was an artist. No, seriously, we met, and we've known each other for a few months, and we both actually became roommates, living in a house with no power, no water, and it was winter on Troost, 43rd and Troost. So that's basically where we got sober, off drugs. When I met Joseph, I was strung out on drugs. I had a shaved head, and I didn't look anything like I look now. But I had met Jesus, and I knew that God had good plans for my life. And by the grace of God, and with a lot of time and a lot of love, here we are. We have 3 beautiful kids, and we have so many stories and so much testimony to share. I feel like with just people in the body of Christ, people outside the body of Christ. And so I wasn't going to say all this.
Mind a lot. So I'm something of an expert in regard to creativity, and that's what I would like to share with you. It's just one creative process that's transferable to whatever it is that you do. So I was gonna just talk about 4 pieces of work that are here. None of them are in this room. Not that I should have planned better for that. But I'm gonna start with Chosen to Forget. So it's by painterly standards or fine art standards, it's the least at this place. It's my least work here, but it reminded me of a lot of things. And so I'm just, at the risk of sounding boring, I'm just gonna read off this paper. Okay, so forgive and forget. It's easier said than done. It seems like most of the difficult things in life are easy to describe, but they're also the easiest to deconstruct. I will forgive, but I will never forget. Do you mean you're going to bring it to mind every chance? And I'm not just speaking to myself. Do you mean you're just going to bring it to mind every chance you get and use it as a weapon? Because that's not forgiveness. What if forgiveness we are given is only truly played out when those around us allow us to live it out? If you tell a person they are stupid and they will never amount to anything, you can't be surprised when they do just that. Well, forgiveness is the same thing. You may have forgiveness for the person who wronged you, but every time you think of them or see them, you only think they are the person that harmed you. But you say to yourself, but I've forgiven them. Who is that helping? This piece is called Chosen to Forget. It is a talent that must be cultivated. And then once lost, it's very hard to regain. Children do it effortlessly. It goes against everything in you to do it, but if you can, You can save a soul who can only define themselves by their worst mistakes. This causes division because people say, I'll forgive you. But then every chance they get, they hold it over you to show that they're better than you because they forgave you. God doesn't do that though. In fact, when we ask for forgiveness, he chooses to forget by simply not bringing it to mind and allows us to not be defined by our mistakes. He puts them as far as the east is from the west. And I wrote Psalms 102, but I forgot my phone and I was going to read it, but then I thought that's not a good idea. But that was what that piece brought to mind. And they say, a picture paints 1,000 words. Well, a painting can do a lot also. I can think it can do a lot more than 1,000 words. But just sometimes when you're pouring yourself onto whatever it is that your creative endeavor is, so if it's fishing or music or organization or whatever it is, soccer, and it's just your creative endeavor allows you to think about things in a way that you wouldn't think about if you were doing something else. If I try to play soccer, I don't come up with these thoughts. So, but not to say that you playing soccer, you're going to come up with brilliant thoughts. It's your art. This is my art. I think I'm going to let Emily jump in for a minute there and collect my thoughts, and then I got another couple.
Okay, let's see. I have a few things I didn't want to forget, so I just wrote them down as bullet points here. I'm a graphic designer and web builder, so my creative process is very different than Joseph's. I've been a graphic artist for 10 years, and most of my work is for clients with very specific goals. So I feel like doing that for the last 10 years has brought me to a point in my own, as an artist, my own journey, to where I can have my own vision and then achieve it. So, but I feel like this work was not just, it wasn't my vision. God has been speaking to me for a couple years now about his kingdom and how the kingdom looks, which was kind of new to me. It was right under my nose, like it's all through the New Testament. Jesus talks about the kingdom all the time, but it wasn't taught on a lot in the church settings where I'd been. And I was like, what is this kingdom? I have to know more about this. And so, Jesus taught a parable about the mustard seed, and the mustard seed being like the kingdom. And the kingdom is like a seed that goes into the ground and dies, and then becomes something new and grows up to be something big that produces endless seeds. So I think the way God wants to multiply his kingdom is not just a one-to-one, but it's like exponential. And so to start to see the kingdom like that, and I was like, well, and then God just started making me notice just seeds and fruit all around me, like in nature. I'm very inspired by nature and flowers and seeds and gardens, all that stuff. Like, I love all that stuff. So a lot of the work in this show was just kind of like studies I was doing, kind of exploring some new techniques, and seeing how I could visually communicate what what I was wanting, what God was downloading to me in my spirit. And it's really kind of like taken a turn lately. I've always done these very like symmetrical, almost like mirror-like compositions. I just love symmetry. So that's kind of where my art is going now. So this is a new piece that I just made this week. It's called Harvest in October. And I do believe that we're going to see a great harvest.
Amen.
And artists are going to be a big part of it. So I just keep, praying that God would show me my part and that I would have the courage and the obedience to walk that out. So that's not really a bullet point. I guess that's like my journey. Another thing I wanted to talk about was working with excellence. I really feel strongly that as Christian artists, I want to represent, I just want to represent God and His kingdom well. So whatever I do, I want to do it with excellence. And I think that's important. When I was in design school, I had a couple instructors that were just like brutal on your craft. Like you could have the greatest idea and the greatest design, but if you didn't pull it together at the end and execute well, like if your craft was sloppy, you weren't even allowed to hang it up. And I'm so thankful at the time. I mean, like I had a couple teachers that made me cry. They're like, I worked so hard on that. But now I appreciate that because I know and I can value good craft and attention to detail because it reflects on the work and people aren't going to see the great idea. They're just going to see the lousy presentation. So yeah, I just wanted to talk about excellence a little bit. And I think, that reflects God's character. He does everything with excellence. Excellence is not perfection. And then I think the last thing I really wanted to speak to was just the power of art and design. Really, artists have been given such a huge gift. And whether you're a visual artist, a musician, you're a speaker, you're a mom, creating a beautiful home for your family, whatever God has charged you with as a creative, as an artist, you have the power to change minds, and if we're born again believers, we should be changing people's minds for Christ. I'm sold out for Jesus. And and I don't know how I'm gonna do it. I don't know what even the next steps are, but I am committed to use my abilities, my skills, my resources for God. So.
That was beautiful.
It was.
For the record, I was a hobo. I was not homeless. Hobo. Big difference. Big difference. So kind of just reiterating the whole idea of using creativity in life. I would say, so if anybody wants to just learn painting or whatever, I would recommend it because it's a wonderful tool for an artist, but it doesn't make you an artist. It's just a tool. I have found some success So, you know, if I wasn't a painter, she wouldn't. So there's that. It very much helps. There's a couple other pieces that I was thinking about talking about, but I don't really. I'm just gonna talk about this last piece. I'm gonna keep it 2 minutes. The piece outside, it's a portrait of me and her. And yes, it is a painting, it's a portrait, yes. Granted that. But also it's a way that God revealed to me that how you can use creativity in everything. And I'd say it was about maybe, I don't know exactly, but about 4 or 5 years ago, we were going through a really hard time. And I can say this story now because she called me homeless and strung out, so I can say this without. We were just having a hard time, and I was having a hard time making sense of it. And we were fighting one time, and she just said, "I don't love you anymore. I want a divorce." And I was just like, "Fine," you know. And for at the moment, that person back then, I was just like, you know what everybody does anyway. Everybody gets divorced. Who cares? Okay, fine. Yeah, that's what we're gonna do. Whatever. And like my spirit man was just like, oh, you're crazy. Like you were about to destroy yourself. Like, but I couldn't make them friends quite yet. So I started working on that painting, and I just like, can I even see us together? Like, so I just painted us together, and I was just like, and I noticed that like when I was painting her, she kept looking really beautiful. And I was like, dang, I just see her as beautiful. Like, no, she's tired and she has bags on her. I want to put bigger bags. and then like when I was done with her, I had just blocked out myself, and then I started painting myself, and I realized like, your nose is fatter than that. Your face is fatter than that. Your eyes are small. And I realized, I was like, that's what I would look like if I hated me. That's how I would look if I hated me. And it just kind of sat there. It was kind of a scary piece for a long time. But I saw that in me. I was just like, no, you would hate yourself. And so I just kind of kept it, kind of tinkered with it. Just sat in the corner for like couple years, right, at least, and then finally about 3 months ago maybe, there was this old picture that we had, and I love this picture because we had gone to see The Wizard of Oz and ballet, and we were so fancy. We were so fancy. I didn't buy the ticket. A friend of mine gave us the ticket because he played the piano for the ballet, my wonderful friend Shani. He gave us the ticket, so it was borrowed glory, you know. But we were there with all the fancy rich people of Kansas City, you know, that can afford $120 for the top, you know, ballet. But we took a picture, and it was a really great picture. So I found it and looked back into it, and I was just like, yeah, you know what? Maybe I don't look like I remember I did, but I just started painting it, and I started realizing like, oh, when you're in love, when God, or even with God's love, like He sees us different. Like He doesn't see 40-year-old tired, you know, holding too much weight Joseph. Like He sees beautiful version of Joseph. He sees beautiful version of him. There's no bags in her eyes, you know. Like it's just so that was something that I saw. And just to kind of piggyback onto it, one time Emily had said, you know, as much as you pay attention to your art, your design, why don't you, if you paid it 1/10, I can't remember the number, I think she said 1/8. For some reason in my mind, it was 1/8. 1/8, the time on that, as you do on our marriage, we would be doing great. And I never thought about putting creative process into my marriage, you know, but so that piece kind of symbolizes those two worlds coming together. Like, yes, an artist can function as a husband, as a father, as a carpenter, as a framer, whatever it is. Painting is a valuable tool, though, that showcased that painting helped me visualize things that I couldn't on my own, and in a lot of ways God gave it to me in order to not make us just dumb mistakes, because when you're painting, it's not like a picture. You can take a picture and you're done like that, but if you're painting, you're looking at something for a really long period of time. And I stared at myself and her for a really long time. And if I showed you the picture, you'd be like, yeah, it kind of looks like it, but it doesn't at all. So, I don't know, I hope that made sense.
Love that.
So we were just gonna open it up to Q&As.
Yeah.
So yeah, give them another hand. Yeah, it's so beautiful, isn't it? Just like I understand what you're talking about, like staring. When you do a portrait, you actually feel like you're getting to know somebody for sure, and that's an amazing story. And I forgot to mention that Emily actually designed the logo for Genesis 1:1 years ago, before we had really even done anything with it. And so they've been a part of this whole vision. But yeah, so we do want to open it up for Q&A. So if anybody has any questions?
The difference between hobo and homeless.
A hobo is homeward bound. I was headed somewhere. A homeless person is down on their luck. Yeah, but I had a nice car. Then my car was mine.
So, Joseph, my favorite guy is this, and I don't know why, but I thought maybe you could explain, I don't know, something about this guy is just very appealing to me, with his cowboy hat and the flag, and I don't know, is he the hobo guy you were
No,
traveling
that's
with?
my grandfather.
Is it really?
No, that piece is called "Coming to America," and we're Neil Diamond fans. I don't know no way around it. But so was my grandfather. He loved Neil Diamond. He could barely speak English, but he loved him. Loved Neil Diamond, and it's just the idea of like the sacrifices, because he's from Mexico. And he didn't have a lot going for him in Mexico, but my grandmother did. She was Spanish, and there's a very strange culture over there. It's, I don't even want to make the comparison, but y'all could probably figure it out. There's a one particular culture that's the colonizer, and then the other ones. So she was Spanish descent, so she had something too. But his Almendariz, which is our last name, his mother was purchased at 9 or 10 or however old she was purchased, and that he was the result of that purchase. And so that's Almendariz. I couldn't tell you where he came from. I don't know anything about him. He was some Spaniard. He was an older man, and she was a little girl, and they had kids. And it surprisingly was not that uncommon. But he always wanted to go back to Mexico. He always wanted to own land in Mexico, and they actually tried it for a second. But that painting just referencing him, it was an old picture that I had. So it inspired me, and then I had the idea of it, that we're in America. I'm an American. I love it. I love America. It's in a very precarious situation right now, but there's been some really great sacrifices for us to be here where we are, in America. And so that concept is kind of like he's in America, but he's looking back in Mexico. The Mexican flag is actually in the reverse; it's upside down. But he's remembering Mexico. And the picture was really grainy, and I couldn't see his eyes, so I put my own eyes in there. I took a picture of mine, and I just put it in there. He's remembering. So, thanks for asking about that. It's actually.
Did he get to see it?
No, he died when I was like 7.
Oh.
Yeah. My grandmother died 2 years ago. She had to outlive me a long time, so I got a lot of her arrogance.
Anybody else?
Yeah, I wanted to ask Emily, when did she start doing art? At what age? How did that happen to your life? How
Well,
did it take place in your life?
yeah, well, I always like drew a lot and always loved to make things, and I see that in my daughters. Because they're always like cutting paper and making like little miniature everything. So I remember doing a lot of that, and then drawing and writing a lot, like through high school, not paying attention in class, just like doodling, writing. But I didn't go back to school for graphic art until I was 28 or 29. My dad died suddenly, and I decided to go back to school, so I quit my 2 jobs and went back to school full time. And I just took 3 years off, and it was so inspiring, and I was like, okay, this is it. But I had a couple people that God dropped into my life to encourage me in that direction, because I thought for a while I was going to be a nurse. I was taking all my prereqs for nursing school, and then I got right up to the point where I would be done, and I was like, this is not for me. So then I just like took a break. I just took the long way around with school, but yeah, so I finished my school in 2.5 years, and then started working.
I love when she was talking about excellence, and they're definitely both an example of excellence and really bringing beauty to this earth. Anybody else have any questions?
I would say, what is your favorite piece of each other's art?
Oh, that's hard. I really love these two. The one on the right was from a photo of my younger daughter and me, right? I think she was like a couple months old, and I just love that painting. And then the one next to it, Joseph did in a quick paint competition just like a few months ago, and he won.
Wow.
So that was pretty cool.
Wow.
And he brought it home, and I mean, he does these competitions, and usually he just like struggles his way through it because they have like 2 hours to paint something. And he brought it home, and I remember I was on the couch, and he brought it in. He was like, because he had texted me, he's like, I won. He brought it in and showed me. I was like, I sat up straight. I was like, oh my gosh. I was like, that is amazing. Just like the color and just everything. I just love that piece.
He showed up late to that.
Wow.
Monica and I were actually there, and we were doing that contest. Monica and Tamara are both a part of Genesis 1:1, and we got there early. We found our spot. We're like, look,
We're gonna win this game.
Well, I didn't expect to win it all, but I knew I needed all that time, and so we're set up. It had already started. We're getting everything going. Joseph shows up. He's like late and looking around for a spot. He's like, "Hey guys," and then he walks down, comes up later, and with this amazing piece, he showed up late and finished it. And I don't know. And then he won first place. But this is how good he is. This is what God does in him.
Better luck next year.
Well, there's no trick to being good at painting. All you have to do is paint a lot. That's it. Just paint a lot and you'll get there. I love that bouquet right there. That was my favorite piece until she finished this one the other day. And now that little piece, that little black piece is ours. And also like another wonderful, cool connection. We found the printer does wallpaper. So, and we're in the process of building a house right now. So just one more example, like how art doesn't necessarily attach itself to a medium. You can be art, you can have a vision from whatever, you know, like our church, you know, you have an artistic vision. But then that came up and I was like, oh, that's gotta be the wallpaper. Like, that would be so awesome. So that's my favorite. That's my favorite piece. That was my favorite.
And that's the giveaway too. She's generously going to do for a drawing.
I'm just curious, where is that bridge?
Brush Creek. I think it's
Over which?
Prospect. Is it
Near the Crush
No,
Creek
it's-
Community Center?
It's Cleveland, I think.
Is it close to the plaza, right down below the plaza?
It's
No.
near the community center.
Okay.
Yeah, the community center, right? Well, no, that's sculptures, right?
Yeah, it's in that area though.
It's close to
Yeah.
Swope Health.
Yeah, right across from
Okay.
Slope Health.
Okay.
It's in there.
I like the way you did that,
Because there's a.
got the reflection underneath as the bridge.
Yeah.
That is really good.
You only got like a minute, actually. Like, if you don't get through reflections immediately, it just keeps moving.
Right.
Yeah, it changes a lot. It's a sunset quick paint, so yeah, the lighting changes really fast. You did an amazing job.
When did Joseph start painting? When did you start painting?
When I was 21.
21? What?
No, yeah. I'm 22 now.
Well, no, I'm mad. Not fair.
I'm only getting younger.
With a few years experience in painting.
Yeah. 1 year of experience.
Me too. Any more questions?
Did he answer the question? I don't think
Oh.
he did.
21.
Yeah,
What- 21.
Oh, you're 22.
Years, almost 20 years.
Oh, okay. All right. Almost 20 years. Oh. Wow.
Okay, well, we have a drawing. Oh, good.
So how many mediums have you tried?
Like as far as
Oil, acrylic,
yeah,
pastel.
I started drawing, then watercolor, then tempera, then acrylic, then oil, and now
So
building.
all of them. Yeah, right?
Yeah.
And how about you, Emily? How did you just mostly do something computer generated to start?
Mostly I draw and I Photoshop.
Thank you.
So these were done in Photoshop, these paintings, or?
Yeah, Illustrator and Photoshop.
It's amazing.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Anybody else? Thoughts, comments, questions?
Yeah, I was just gonna say, I really appreciate you guys sharing about where you're from, like where God has brought you from. Not only like before Christianity, like before he met you, but also even after, like even that aspect about marriage, like that was beautiful and it gives so much more meaning because it captured my attention. I mean, obviously it's huge, it's colorful, it's beautiful. As soon as I walk up, I'm like, whoa, you know. But to know the story behind it, like the heartache and the building and the like breakthrough and change of heart, like whoa, that goes so deep into all of that. Like, yeah, I just appreciate you sharing your story about it.
That's great. Yeah, that's why we want to do these talks, because you can look at a beautiful piece and think about what it's about, and it can speak to you without even words, but then to actually hear the stories behind it, it's really powerful.
Yeah, I want to thank Emily for sharing what she shared. Because it's beautiful to see what God has done in her and through her, all this beauty, you know, even through pain, God turns it into something beautiful.
Yeah.
So that's very inspiring. Thank you so much for sharing that.
Thank you both so much. And if somebody, have you been doing the raffle or the drawing? Who's been?
We've both been
Okay.
encouraging people to put their name on.
Did everybody put your name in the bowl?
Does somebody need to
Probably
put
not
their
one
name?
of
Okay, there's
We have time.
the pen over there.
Then we can maybe do that now, and then we can have time to just mingle, and you can talk with each other and ask them more questions and hear more stories.
We're done with the speaking part of the evening, I guess what she was trying to say. But we're gonna continue for a while. What we can do now is, there's that piece that we had talked about. It's out in the hallway. And I love what you did with that, by the way. I just love it. That was a great place to hang that piece. It's a big piece down there. So in all the art down here, it's all there. So, you know, go through that gallery and kind of, and look at that and listen as you're looking, because you can hear art. I don't know if anybody's brought that to your attention before. He was talking about 1,000 words, just like trillions out here. So you can look through this art and take it in and listen to that. And they're gonna be around so you can talk to them and ask them more questions. Maybe there's something you didn't really wanna say out loud, so feel free to come up and talk to them and get to know them more. And they actually go to this church, so it's a real blessing for us to be able to see them all the time. There's food there. Generally, we don't like to take any food home, so eat it, put it in your pocket, do whatever you gotta do to get that food out of here. And make sure you get that name in the raffle if you haven't yet, and then here in a little bit, we'll announce who's the grand winner of that prize. So, yeah. Oh, you're gonna do it now? Who's gonna?
Well, I don't know, it's up to you guys.
Oh, you guys have to do it, it's your own. Oh, I don't have my glasses. I can't see it. Oh, they're right here. Britt! Brittany! Come on!
Yes.
We love Brittany. We love her whole family. So, it's one of the things that, where'd you get the flyer? One of the things that, look at this.
Wow.
Hey, photographer man, we gotta get a photo of the winner with the artist. There you go. So, one of the other things that we do with Genesis 1:1, she does a monthly open studio for artists to come and gather around and do art. And so it's a time where you can kind of glean off of one another. You bring your own supplies and you sit and you just do art. You just hang out and you do art. It's kind of like a book club, but there ain't no books. You just do art. But it's really cool because there's this whole spirit that just fills the room, you know, and it's just very rejoiceful. And the artists can kind of ask each other questions and kind of learn from each other. And it's just a wonderful time. I come up here and help set up, like, you know, she tells me to do, and then I sit around and do some homework. But there's flyers here. It's coming up November 6th, and so if you'd like to come and do art with the team and whoever else is here, it's 4-hour time block. You can come and go. You don't have to stay the whole 4 hours. But anyway, there's flyers over there. Just wanted to make that known to you. And what happened to Brittany? And congratulations again, Brittany! Woo, some free art. So yeah, mingle and do this stuff and eat the food.